Hello and welcome to week 6 of CJAD 6301 Crime and Criminal Justice. We are in the midst of our lockdown. As you can see, I'm back in my office. The state parks were closed by the governor last week. It was quite fun. About 11 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, the state police came and knocked on the door of my trailer. Said, Mr. Fisher, the governor's closed the park. You've got till 5 o'clock to find out another plan. So I called the guy that I was renting a lot from and said, hey, I'd given you $100 to reserve my spot in case it was necessary for me to come back or for me to come back in the fall. Is that spot still there? He said, yes. I said, here, I'll send you the remainder of my lot rent minus the reservation fee, and I'll be there today. I was back in Odessa by 3 o'clock on Tuesday last. Kept meaning to upload the last week's video. Didn't do so until just a few minutes ago. I do apologize for that video being late. It still might be fun. This week, we're going to be talking about social learning theory. Three main guys, Sean McKay, and then Edwin Sutherland. Edwin Sutherland is my favorite theorist of all times. I have two of his books here. This one, The Principles of Criminology, this is a first edition book. He wrote it in 1934. And you know, it talks about differential association. It talks about the principles of criminology. He is who I consider the father of modern criminology. I know Cesar Beccaria is the father of criminology. The Cesar Lombroso is the father of the positivist criminology. Some say he is the father of modern criminology. But this guy, Edwin Sutherland, is, in my opinion, the strongest of theorists within criminology. He wrote this book in 1934. As you can see, it looks like this book is from 1934. The pages are starting to yellow. The binder is coming apart in places. This book on analyzing crime, this is a second edition book. This was originally published in 1954. 1956, and this was the 1973 revised edition. But in both of these books, this one he introduces, and this one he completes his theory on differential association. Differential association theory is, let's see how I can put this in a nutshell. Differential association theory, in short, is those who flock together commit crime together. Birds of a feather flock together. That's the proverb. Birds of a feather flock together. If you lay down with dogs, you're going to get up with fleas. Yeah, do you like my little bandana? Yeah. When I go to the store later, I'm going to put on my little bandit mask. There we go. And then I'll go to the store looking like this. This will protect everybody from getting the coronavirus from me. I was exposed 2 weeks ago. I maintained and stayed. Actually, the first day I left Odessa. I left here on a Sunday and went to the family ranch, and the people out there had the coronavirus. I never came in contact with them, never came within 6 feet of them. I did, however, stay away from people for 2 weeks. Came to work, came back to the office last Wednesday to do a class. Didn't let anybody get close to me, but I've finished my 2 weeks. Almost went the whole 2 weeks without seeing anybody, without going to the store, without doing anything. Came back to work last Wednesday, met with Mr. Hammond and Dr. Kickbush, did some telephone stuff, came back on Thursday. No, I didn't. And then I stayed home, and now I'm back to work today. Every Monday I'm going to be here. I may come in on Wednesdays, probably not, but I'll make a point to stay away from as many people as possible. But because we're back here and we're staying here for the summer instead of doing our tour, we've decided that we're going to build a little pot garden. No, not marijuana, pots. We're going to get pots and we'll go grow stuff in it. And, this will cut down on our food bill, seeing that we're going to be stationary and I'm not going to have all these lakes to go fishing in. So let's grow vegetables. Okay, so differential association theory. Differential association theory, Edwin Sutherland came up with 9 different principles, and I didn't write them down. They're in the videos down below. But what we know and what Edwin Sutherland convinces us or tells us is that we will follow the rules and we will behave in such a way as we place our priorities. Those people, those individuals that we place our priorities in, those are the people we're going to hang out with. Those are the people that we're going to emulate. Those are the people that we're going to spend our time with, and we're going to look up to them. Okay. For example, let's say here, I conducted a research project. I created a program that I was trying to review, but my psychology professor didn't like it. If we spend more time with criminals and convicts, that's who we're going to be like, because birds of a feather flock together. That's why one of the reasons in corrections, after you've been released on parole or once you're placed on probation, one of the conditions are you can't hang out with felons. Okay, so they want you to avoid hanging out with people of bad influence. And this is what differential association does, is who you choose to hang out with is who you are going to allow to influence your actions, your behaviors, and your decisions. Okay. If you hang out with people of good moral character, you're going to have good moral character. If you hang out with thugs and cretins and people that are not good for you, you're going to end up being a good for nothing. You're going to end up being a criminal. Sean McKay also looked into social learning theory. Okay, and this is where my experiment come to place, but my psychology professor shot it down. I still did it. And I think that, working with the Juvenile Probation Department and the Boy Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts of America, I think that we made a difference in the world. It was creating a mentorship program. Okay, granted, the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have had a negative rap here of late, especially with the sex offenses and the predators that became Scoutmasters. And I remember in the 1980s and 1990s when I was in scouting, there was a big, big move. The Scoutmasters, when I was a scout leader, as a Boy Scout and then as an adult Scoutmaster, there was a big push to open up the leadership and the Boy Scouts to homosexuality and to other behaviors that at the time were seen as deviant. And we were told, no, no, no. These Scoutmasters are not going to abuse children. They're not going to sexually molest children. We're hearing now that over the past 30 years, there have been a lot of molestation and predators being allowed to be Scoutmasters within the scouting movement. But what I wanted to do and what I did was I set up a mentoring program between the Juvenile Justice Program and the Boy Scouts, to where at-risk kids on juvenile probation that had committed nonviolent offenses, whether it was a drug charge or, drinking a minor in possession charge or, curfew or truancy or stealing, things that were nonviolent crimes. We would have them join the Boy Scouts, and they would be attached to a Boy Scout who was 15, 16, 17 years old, attained the rank of first class or higher, um, and was already in a leadership role within the Boy Scouts. He would mentor this kid. It was kind of like a Big Brothers program, with actual Big Brothers instead of adults who are trying to make themselves feel better about themselves. So the idea is that we learn how to act, we learn how to behave, we learn how to um, make our decisions based upon society and our social learning. So if we're hanging out with bad guys, like Edward Sutherland said, if we're hanging out with bad guys all the time, we're going to become a bad guy. If we're hanging around good guys all the time, we're going to become a good guy. And we're going to have a we're going to have a positive moral character. So this was the idea. You take all of these kids with that are at risk of becoming delinquents and hooking them up with and having them work together with other kids from Boy Scouts, because Boy Scouts, the Scout oath, I don't know what the law is, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. That's the Scout law. The Scout oath is on my honor. I'll do my best to do my duty to guide and country, to obey the Scout law, to live my life physically strong, morally straight, and something else. I haven't been in scouting since my late 20s, so I forgot it. But everything about scouting is supposed to turn you into a productive member of society. I really like scouting. I got a lot of flack. Even the 80s, I was made fun of for being in scouting. I also joined the Law Enforcement Explorers. So on Tuesdays, I would have Boy Scouts. On Wednesdays, I would have the Law Enforcement Explorers. And then every other weekend, I would be doing something with either one of those groups. Or every weekend, I'd be doing something with either one of those groups every other weekend. And I was in leadership parts with both of them. And we would bring in kids that were at risk. And I duplicated this during my PhD, and it worked. We saw a decrease in recidivism. I know a lot of the parents were worried that the corrupted kids would corrupt the Boy Scouts. But if you take one corrupted kid and you put him in a group of productive scouts, this guy's going to be influenced by the larger group. Okay. Labeling theory. Labeling theory is evil, I guess. If somebody tells you something and calls you something long enough, you are going to become that something. Okay, so the labeling theory was the idea that if we could avoid labeling a juvenile as a delinquent, he wouldn't become a delinquent. Okay, we took juvenile justice out of the criminal courts and we put it into family court, and we made it to where we removed the stigma. Granted, the stigma is still there. Oh, he's been to juvie hall. He's been to kiddie prison. He's been here. He's been there. And these labels will turn around and create secondary deviance. Okay, because if you're going to treat me like a crook, if you're going to treat me like a bad guy, that's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to act like. That's what I'm going to end up being. You get one of those jealous spouses. You're cheating on me. No, I'm not. You're cheating on me. You're a cheater. You're a cheater. You're a cheater. What's going to happen? Well, if I'm going to get blamed for it, I'm going to go ahead and do it. The same thing. You're a thief. You're a thief. You're a thief. You're a junkie. You're an addict. My niece She's Miss Vermont, and her social project, part of the Miss America program is, follows the same kind of lines that I do. How is this degree going to help you make the world a better place? How are you going to bring about positive social change? Her positive social change was to remove the stigma of the word addict. Because if you're constantly called an addict, that's what you're going to be. That's what you are. Yeah. So there's a lot of discussion. Well, you are an addict. Um, just like an alcoholic is an alcoholic. This is something that you can't go back to. If you're an alcoholic or you're an addict, a drug user, abuser, um, if you start using again, you're going to start abusing again. And that's what an addict is. But there was a stigma, or there is a stigma that's attached to that label, and it's a negative stigma. And the idea is that if you can remove the negative stigma behind a label, then you can help rehabilitate the offender. You can help rehabilitate the drug user. You can help rehabilitate everybody that's involved in this. And you can make the world a better place. And that's what my niece was thinking. And that is what Sean McKay brought about. I don't know if Jillian actually ever thought about or read about Sean McKay and social learning theory and labeling theory. I think Miller also looked into labeling theory. I don't know if Jillian ever looked into these theorists when she was coming up with her positive social change program. But it was a strong program. I liked her program, and I liked what she was wanting to do, and it links directly with labeling theory. Because if you put a negative label on an individual, that person's going to become negative, and it's going to result in secondary deviance. Okay? It's going to result in an addict going back to their addiction. Okay? Recovery or recovering addict is a much better label. Okay? It's a positive. They're recovering. They're getting over. You don't get over addiction. Sorry. They're learning how to manage their addiction. They're learning how to avoid the substance abuse that they have fallen into. Anyway, that's this week. This week you're going to write your essay that you're going to write is going to be on social learning theory with Shaw, McKay, and Miller. The discussion that we're going to have is going to be on differential association theory. So please make a point to stay home if you can. If you can't stay home, wear a mask, stay safe, and avoid contacting people. I'm the only one in this wing of the floor. I'm the only one here. Dr. Kupush will come in a little bit. Mr. Hammond may or may not come in. I'm here for the camera and to be able to upload my videos because the internet people haven't shown up at the house yet. So once they show up at the house, and I've got strong internet I can load from the house, I might not come back to the office until we're cleared to come back to the office. So stay safe, stay home, stay healthy, and don't give this to old people.